Kelsey and I are running errands right now, and she has been a super duper huge angel while working with me while I'm in a wheelchair. She has been absolutely super about it. We've occasionally practiced with her walking next to a wheelchair, but we've never done extensive work with me in a wheelchair before. But today I've been having really bad cardiac issues and have also just been super fatigued. And so since there weren't many people out and about today, I figured it was a safe bet to use a wheelchair since there aren't a lot of people for me to run into today, which is always a good thing. So it's kind of a new experience for both of us, but that's totally fine. I'm figuring it out just like she's figuring it out, and she has been a super duper helper today. Yes, you have. You can see I brought my clicker and my treat bag with me because I want to make this as positive as an experience as I possibly can for her. That way every little thing that she does right is completely rewarded with a jackpot, because this is a new situation for her and very different from how she normally works, and so I want to make sure that she has a super positive experience while I'm in a wheelchair and while she's working next to a wheelchair. A princess! Quick little wheelchair helper. She has had such a good heel today, even though we've made some tight turns and have had some tight squeezes. She has been such a rock star today, and I'm so proud of her. Despite the fact that she's giving super sad puppy dog eyes. Oh my goodness, look at her. She is such a drama queen. I love this dog so much. And I just want to remind everyone that just because someone's in a wheelchair doesn't mean that they're paralyzed. And so today I've occasionally stood up to grab something off of a high shelf. And I just want to make sure to spread the message that that's not weird. It's not weird if someone in a wheelchair suddenly gets up out of their wheelchair or can walk a few steps, because people use wheelchairs for a number of reasons. Today I'm using it for cardiac issues and for, mobility reasons, for fatigue. But some people use it for other things, for chronic pain. But that doesn't, just because someone's using a wheelchair doesn't mean that they have no mobility. Most wheelchair users can actually still stand up and take a few steps, but it's just more comfortable or easier on them to use a wheelchair. I'm finally feeling well enough to keep going. I've had to take little breaks today, but thanks to using a wheelchair, I haven't had to take nearly as many breaks as I would have if I had been walking on my own two legs. So definitely thankful for this wheelchair today. Kelsey, get it. Get. Figure it out. Go get it. Get it. Figure it out. Whoops. Go get it, silly girl. Yes, good girl. Good girl. By far, the weirdest thing about using a wheelchair today was that even though I was using a wheelchair and had a service dog, people would still come up to me and ask me, "Oh, who are you training that service dog for?" And it was like, fam, friend, dear, darling, sweetie, I'm literally in a wheelchair. What more can you ask for right now? I found it really entertaining. Is it because I'm young that people assume that I'm not disabled? I don't understand that. But I found it really entertaining today. People honestly can be so silly sometimes, but it's okay. Luckily, I was having, aside from like a bad health day, I was actually having an okay health day, which sounds completely contrary, but I needed to take little breaks anyways, and so stopping and chatting with people was actually okay for me. And as long as I'm doing okay health-wise, I honestly don't mind educating people and telling them more about service dogs and what Kelsey does for me. By far the most entertaining moment of my day in a wheelchair was I was rolling along just down the aisle, and there was a pillar in the middle of the aisle. And knowing me, I'm not the best at navigating things at all. And so even if I had just been walking with the cart, I probably would have run into it. So it isn't surprising that as I was rolling down the aisle, I ran directly into the pole, like not even, slightly to the side. And luckily no one was in the aisle, and I was like, oh God, I hope no one saw this. Like, oh God, this is so embarrassing. But 2 seconds later, this guy runs over from the other aisle and was like, "Oh my God, I heard you run into the pool. Are you okay?" I was like, "Oh God, like, please, let's never speak of this incident again." This is so embarrassing. But like, of course something like that would happen to me. I will say that I was blown away by the number of people who offered to help me today. I mean, I guess, you know, I visibly had a symbol of being disabled, that being the wheelchair, but I was still really blown away by people's compassion and kindness and willingness to go out of their way to help me. And even though I had the best companion on the planet, this little dog, I mean, and even though I'm super stubborn and independent, it still meant a lot to me that people were willing to offer their help to me today. Of course, I also feel lucky to have the best helper dog in the world. Hi, Kels. She knows it too. She knows she's the best. She thinks very, very highly of herself. Don't you, Kels? I'm finally winding down for the evening, and I've had a pretty quiet afternoon and evening. The one big thing that I did after my shopping was I took Kelsey and her friend Aberdeen for a short walk, which I think we all enjoyed. Even though I wasn't having a great health day, both girls were super well behaved, and so since the weather was super nice, it was honestly just a nice walk, and I've been relaxing and resting at home ever since. And I'm just remembering from earlier this afternoon, another entertaining part about shopping with the wheelchair was I was heading to the parking lot after I'd checked out, and I had my basket of items on my lap. And, you know, I was rolling out to the car because the basket was pretty heavy because it was filled with all my groceries. And I was tempted to leave the wheelchair, you know, with all the carts and then just walk all my bags out to my car. But then I realized that the bags were so heavy and I was having a bad enough health day where that probably wasn't the best idea. And so I decided to roll out, drop off my stuff, and then, you know, return the wheelchair and walk back. So as I was doing that, I was having a really, really hard time pushing the chair, like a ridiculously hard time. And I figured it was because I'd been shopping for a while and, you know, the cart or the basket I had was, you know, heavy and full of all the stuff I had gotten. And I figured my arms were tired because I wasn't used to pushing a wheelchair. And so, you know, even though it was a struggle, I was like, okay, fine. It's almost over. I'll just wheel over. It'll be fine. But a woman in the parking lot noticed that I was struggling and walked over and asked if she could help me. And, you know, me being stubborn, I was like, oh, no, I'm fine. You don't have to help me. You know, thank you for the offer, though. You know, my car's just right there. I'll, you know, be done in just half a second. Don't even worry about it. And she was pretty persistent, but eventually, you know, let me be. And then I realized as I was rolling that, like, the wheels were kind of making a little bit of a squeaking sound, even though they hadn't been doing that before. And I was like, okay, there's no way that the groceries are so heavy that the wheels are straining under it. And then I remembered when I parked my wheelchair, like, at the checkout, I had put on the brakes so that I wouldn't start rolling all over the place. And I'd completely forgotten that I'd put on the brakes, and so that entire time that I was trying to push myself along, I had the brakes on, and that's why it was so hard. So I had a good little laugh, and sure enough, when I, you know, took off the brakes, it was so much easier to roll to the car after that. And I definitely felt a lot better about myself, because I was so confused about why I was already so exhausted from pushing myself everywhere. But yeah, I had an entertaining day, and Kelsey had a super stimulating day figuring out how to walk next to me in a wheelchair and, you know, doing more tasks to help me, and it was honestly a great experience for both of us. Anyways, thanks for following our adventures today and for listening to our story.